LeBron, he's won a championship, of course, with 3 different franchises. The Cavaliers, the Heat, the Lakers. No player has won a title with 4 different franchises, and the Sixers have not won since 1983. So you know that LeBron James has ended a long drought before. Can he do it again? As we say hello to Vince Goodwill, who covers everything Eastern Conference for us here. Brian, on paper, though, we've all talked about this. The Sixers team, it looks dangerous. What do you think their biggest challenge is going to be now that LeBron James has been added to this mix?
Well, naturally, you have to say Joel Embiid health. That's the first thing about every Sixers conversation for the last 5 years. But I will point out that while everyone's looking at how they're going to share the ball and who's going to get the shots, the defensive side of the ball is the challenge for the Sixers. I know they made the second round this year. They had a great Game 7 up in Boston. But of the 16 teams that made the playoffs, they ranked 14th in playoff defense. Their first order of business this offseason was not Jaylen Brown or LeBron James. It was to sign Dean Wade away from the Cavs because of how good of a defender he is in multiple positions. So ultimately, I think we're going to be talking in the spring a lot about how well the Sixers defend as we look at the idea of them winning multiple series in the playoffs.
I don't worry about offense. LeBron James has shown that he can commandeer any type of offense, and especially playing point guard, you know that they're going to be an efficient offensive ball club. Defensively, you can't ask him to play 40 minutes of that type of defense. Are you going to ask Jaylen Brown to play 40 minutes of that type of defense? We've seen Joel Embiid have his issues on the defensive end against the New York Knicks. Maybe lessening his burden on offense allows him to commit more on defense. But those are questions that we have. If you think about how you looked at the 76ers post-playoffs, you couldn't have anticipated Jaylen Brown falling into their lap, LeBron James choosing them. They had to go about figuring out their roster without even thinking of 2 Finals MVPs coming there. And those questions still remain.
Yeah, the offensive rebounding is certainly something that I'm going to be keeping an eye on. But there's been so much scuttlebutt, I think, surrounding Jaylen Brown's comments, right, where he said that his favorite year of his career was last season, and people extrapolated, does that mean that it was a year without Jason Tatum, and he liked being the #1 guy? Jaylen Brown never actually elaborated on why that was. It was people making assumptions based off of what he said. What do we know, Shams, about the way that Jaylen Brown is feeling going into this new situation?
I think that situation was a lot about respect. I do think he feels respected now, and let's just put it very plainly here. There's no LeBron James in Philadelphia without Jaylen Brown. Yeah. Jaylen Brown was the guy that led to this domino of LeBron James even thinking about going to Philadelphia. And my understanding is Jaylen Brown wanted LeBron James there. He did his part to recruit him there. And you think about Jaylen Brown, BJ Edgecombe, Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, LeBron James. There's going to be so much sacrifice that's going to go into next season. And one person around Jaylen Brown told me today he's going to approach this with no ego. But there are going to be a lot of people that are going to want the ball in their hands next season. And that's why LeBron James making a decision, obviously in conversations with Nick Nurse and the Sixers, to be the guy that's going to set the table for all of them to try to put them in positions where they can score and he can be the facilitator.
The best salve for basketball sacrifice is what? It's winning. And so if they can win games and put together what we see on paper in reality, then that's going to go a long ways towards what you're talking about, because the expectations, they are sky high here for Philadelphia. Look at the odds, 9-1 to win the title. That's tied with the Knicks. They're behind 2 teams in the Western Conference, the Spurs and the Thunder. After the Spurs and Thunder, the only other Western teams in the top 10 in terms of favorites are the Timberwolves and the Nuggets, and you see them down there. They're both 25-1. So let's stick with the Nuggets here, because restricted free agent Spencer Jones agreed to a 2-year, $12 million offer sheet with the Oklahoma City Thunder, and then the Nuggets, they had the opportunity to match OKC's offer, and they did so. They retained their homegrown player, who they landed on an undrafted deal. Tom Charania first reported all of this. Now, the financial impact for Denver here is significant, right? They move into that dreaded the second apron, right? They face a $68 million tax penalty, and that penalty will go up at least $112 million with the qualifying offer to Peyton Watson, who remains unsigned for now. Now, the Nuggets, they're the only team in the second apron. And team president Josh Kroenke, he spoke last summer about being in this situation. Here's what he had to say.
Going into that second apron is not necessarily something that we're scared of. I think that there are rules around it that we needed to be very careful of with our injury history. The wrong person gets injured, and very quickly you're into a scenario where that I never want to have to contemplate, and that's trade number 15. And so, we're very conscious of that pushing forward and, providing the resources that we can when the moment arrives. But that second apron, is it a hard cap? I'm not 100% sure, but it's something that teams are obviously very aware of going forward.
Okay, so they're not in the situation of needing to trade number 15, Nikola Jokic, yet. Our front office insider, Bobby Marks, joins us. Bobby, it's like anytime we say the second apron on the show, which is poof, you appear. Can you lay out what the Nuggets exactly are facing right now that they are in that second apron?
Well, you laid it out. I mean, certainly there's a financial element as you laid it out. They're at $68 million in luxury tax penalties. Remember, they've only spent $51 million as a franchise in their history, and that's since 2002 here. And that number would increase to 112 if Peyton Watson signed that qualifying offer. I think the most important thing as far as being in the second apron is that if they wanted to entertain a sign and trade with Peyton Watson, they're not allowed to if the salary coming back leaves them over the second apron. Here's the other thing too, Malik. This is an organization that has 0 tradable first. If they remain in the second apron this season, that 2034 first now becomes frozen. They would not be able to move that in a deal. So there's certainly some financial ramifications, certainly budget-wise. And then, of course, as you said, the second apron is dreaded. They're the only team in it right now. Oklahoma City got out about a couple weeks ago there.
That dreaded second apron is 100% impacting the Denver Nuggets and their conversations with restricted free agent Peyton Watson, because they have not been able to land an agreement on a deal. And that's why Peyton Watson and his reps have been seeking out potential sign and trade opportunities. And that's where the Bucks, the Hawks, the Clippers, they've all emerged as leading suitors, I'm told, for Peyton Watson. But in a potential sign and trade, the Nuggets initially had set a price this offseason of similar to the Walker Kessler deal of 2 firsts and 2 swaps in any potential deal. Now that price, my understanding, is a really good high-level player as well as a first-round pick. So we'll see between now and obviously the deadline for any type of restricted deals, as we saw with Jonathan Kuminga last summer, was basically up until training camp. So we have about a month and a half before that period starts to come around.
So, Vinny, if you're Nikola Jokic and you're hearing everything that Shams and Bobby just said, and that you're looking at the ability or inability maybe to re-sign some of your roster that already, frankly, wasn't good enough in the Western Conference, we know that Nikola Jokic has said he wants to be a Denver Nugget for life. But how are you seeing this if you're Nikola?
I'm looking across the way to the Milwaukee Bucks and what they went through with Giannis Antetokounmpo after they won a championship. And trying to keep that core together, they become more expensive. You become more expensive because the NBA salary structure says as you get older, you take on more of a percentage of the cap.
Right.
Nobody's taking less by and large as you get older, as you get towards the end of your career. Fewer resources, fewer playoff wins. This is the dreaded sort of, not just the second apron, but the parity era that we're in the NBA. And the Nuggets have not been a part of the championship conversation for the past couple of years. He has to be looking at his future with this franchise and looking at the landscape of the West, with San Antonio and Oklahoma City being steps ahead of everybody else.
Now, Brian, this is sort of the natural lifeline. This is the natural course that we see championship teams so often make, because you have said this before. There's only one thing harder than building a championship team, right?
Yeah, it's keeping the second hardest thing is to keep the championship window open. That's why we're seeing the Thunder trade off players. That's why we saw the Celtics take their team down. That's why we saw the Bucks fail apart. And let me just say the 3 letters, KSE. If you know, you know. That is Kroenke Sports and Entertainment. The Kroenke family is one of the most successful sports families in the history of the planet. They have won championships with all of their teams. Just in the last 5 years, the Rams, Nuggets, Avalanche, and Arsenal have all won championships. And they do it by having incredible financial discipline. Stan Kroenke, his father-in-law was Sam Walton of Walmart. He was taught financial discipline by his father-in-law. It is the guiding principle. You do not pay $70 million in tax under the Sam Walton way. And so the league is waiting to see what the Nuggets do with their expenses here, because paying this money is not who they are. It's not who Stan Kroenke, it's not who Josh Kroenke is. And so the question is, when they cut salary, is it going to leave a bruise like it has with the Thunder, or is it going to leave a gaping wound? And if I was Nikola Jokic, that's what I'd be very closely watching.
Right, because Nikola Jokic right now, he has an extension that he could sign for 4 years, $278 million. But if he waits to sign next summer, he would be eligible for 5 years, $360 million. And Josh Kroenke and the entire Nuggets organization know that that's the ecosystem in which they are working with. Bobby, if we say second apron again on this show, you will be there, I know. But for now, thank you so much for the time. We really appreciate you. Let's stick with Nikola Jokic and my favorite subject, horses. Because Nikola Jokic's star horse won the most prestigious race in Serbia for the second straight year. Look at this. Jokic looks, thrilled again.
He's a little sped up there, Malika.
He looks thrilled. And I know we do this every time, but he said it before, it's really, really, really hard to win a horse race in Serbia. And it's hard to win an NBA championship, but the pure unbridled joy that he gets.
Is this how you celebrate, Malika?
Yeah.
When your horse races?
Every time I don't fall off, that is me with the celebration. Although after you pop the champagne, you shouldn't.
How many years is the horse under contract?
Don't get back behind the wheel again. Wait, I've never done that part of the celebration though. It's a little bit of a different.
Is the horse on a max contract?
My horse is definitely on the Supermax. Coming up here on NBA Today, Lynx Rising superstar Olivia Miles joins Andrea Carter for an exclusive sit-down, and Olivia has a clear plan for how she wants her career to play out.
I think my goal is always to be the best player on the court.
4 weeks since NBA free agency opened, and there's still plenty of dominoes still to fall. Good thing Shams Charania is here with the latest. So Shams, let's start with where things stand for 11-time All-Star James Harden with the Cavaliers.
Look, James Harden will be re-signing with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Both of these sides, James Harden's reps, the Cavaliers, they've been actually working a partnership to give the Cavaliers as much time as needed because of the flexibility to upgrade the roster, potentially use space to get players in to upgrade the team. They got Mario Hezonja done on a minimum contract. I'm told the Cavaliers are still pursuing wings on the market. Another top player available right now, DeMar DeRozan. He's a player that the Cavaliers are among a few teams that have interest in. Miami and Denver also pursuing DeMar DeRozan. But one new team over the last several days that has had some conversations with DeMar DeRozan, the Washington Wizards. You think about a team that's clearly trying to compete around Anthony Davis, Trae Young, and AJ DeBonsa. We'll see where that goes. But the biggest restricted free agent still on the board, Jalen Duren, the All-NBA, All-Star player. These talks between the Pistons and Jalen Duren, I'm told, will be going into August, well into August potentially. Both sides appear dug in on where they're at. The Pistons have a threshold for where they approach this contract with Jalen Duren. Jalen Duren and his reps obviously want more than that and are trying to see where these negotiations go. So these talks are very fluid.
Yeah, and it seems like they're still far apart here on agreeing to a deal. So those are teams that are looking to maybe acquire players. Let's go now to a city that's looking to keep their team. The Athletic reported on Monday that it's unclear whether or not the Trailblazers will attend Thursday's city council meeting about the arena lease. So this news, it comes on the heels of some contentious negotiations between Blazers Governor Tom Dundon, and the city of Portland. So just as a reminder, here's how we got here. On March 30th, the NBA approved the sale of the Trailblazers to an ownership group that was led by Tom Dundon. And then on June 24th, Dundon suggested that taxpayers foot the bill for a new arena, saying, quote, "It feels like we're making a pretty big investment by staying here and paying these tax rates." So then, as of July 16th, the city of Portland submitted a proposal to modernize the Moda Center Arena and keep the Trailblazers in Portland. This is a lot of information to chew on here. Brian Windhorst back with us. So Brian, let's just break this down really simply here. Is it realistic that the Portland Trailblazers are going to stay in Portland under this new ownership?
It's realistic, but it's definitely not a done deal. There's a couple of things you have to know. Number one,